Welcome to the Fit Affiliate podcast, where we talk about behavior and behavior-based conversations as they relate to CrossFit affiliate owners and coaches. My name's Lisa Hetherington, and I'm your co-host. Sitting alongside me are Tony and Chuck, the founders of Fit Affiliate. And welcome back to another episode of the Fit Affiliate podcast. Here we are, the three amigos, back with my two favorite humans, Chuck and Tony. How are you, gentlemen?
Wonderful, my friend.
That's good. I thought I'd try something different today. There you go. It's
by putting Christmas decorations. I feel like I should decorate my microphone with some garland.
Yeah, well, maybe even the wall behind you, make it a little festive.
I got a Christmas tree now.
Here back there.
There you go. See, we're all getting.
I got a Christmas tree. That's about the most that I'm going to go Christmassy, and that's a big step forward. So.
It is excellent. All right, gentlemen. I thought today, off the back of a recent Instagram post that you've done, regarding broke coaches, that
it's physically injured coaches because they got into coaching only to pursue semi-professional athlete careers.
Yeah, and
not that kind of broke coach.
Not that kind of broke coach. I think the ones that are, working at 5 different facilities to try and make ends meet, as this is their one gig, and they want to be a professional coach, but aren't sure about opportunities or how to create that, or relying on an affiliate owner to just pay me more because I've done all the levels. I've got all the things.
I think that you uncovered the real question and the answer in that right there. It's, if I'm working at 5 affiliates and I'm exposed to 5 different vehicles and opportunities, and none of those are materializing the success that I would like to have as a coach, am I looking in the right place? Am I looking in the right way?
I think it might be worse than that too, because they might be working at 5 different affiliates as a coach in 5 different affiliates. But the problem is that it's hard to say that you're a broke chef if you're a dishwasher, right? And so you could walk around telling your whole family that you're a chef, because you do in fact work in a kitchen, and you are in fact responsible for the level of service that comes out of said kitchen, because we need clean plates. But like, you're not the chef. And I think that you're probably washing dishes at 5 different affiliates, and you might have been awarded a title that I don't mean anything negative by this, you haven't earned yet. And that's the end of the conversation. We're done here.
It's a great call. See you next week.
Yeah.
Well, maybe let's just dig into that then, about having a title that you may not have earned yet. And
if there's one annoyance that I have in the entirety of my entire life's work, it's the ambiguity of the term of coach, or the title of coach. It is, we live in a time now when online coaching is quite literally everywhere. And everybody does it to a varying different degree or ability or conceptual reality. And I'm not the governing force who gets to decide who gets to call themselves coach or otherwise, but it is for sure a conversation of confusion. If you find yourself as responsible for another human, that does not automatically inherently infer that you are a coach. And listen, I was guilty of this too. I think forever, I thought that if I was helping somebody or teaching somebody something, I could call myself a coach. Because listen, we all grew up with coaches who helped us in whatever developmental school sport we had, but even they weren't coaches, right? They were just responsible humans who were probably volunteering time just so that they could basically coach their kid through football, right? And so coach is probably the most overused, under-delivered term in the entirety of a professional career ever. Like, people aren't running around calling themselves doctors because they read PubMed, right? Maybe they are, I don't know. But if you hang out on social media enough, it's probably likely. But and that's the problem. You don't get to run around calling yourself a lawyer. And I'm not saying that we need to
Liver King. What are you the king of? You're not royalty. You're just a shirtless guy on steroids.
Who knighted you? Nobody knighted you. And I think that's a big part of the problem, because that's what ends up happening, is that those of us who are coaches, and we do make really, really good money doing it, there's not a highlight. There's not an observation of like, oh, you're different than me. Like there's this homologation of the entire industry where everybody's just like, collectively, most of us are broke. Therefore, coaches don't make money. Well, no, because you're not a coach yet. You literally are washing dishes. You haven't gotten to chef, but you don't know what like in a kitchen. It's pretty simple. You start at a dishwasher, and then you probably move to like salad prep, and then you probably move to like some degree of like line prep or line cook, and then you move to like sous chef, and then maybe one day you're chef, or maybe you go into like pastries. I don't know, but like there's a way to go there. And with each one of those, you could and should be making more money. And you know that because the industry says a sous chef makes this kind of money. A line cook makes this kind of money. A dishwasher. Coach is like this throw all, catch all term that everybody's just like, some of you guys do it for free. Some of you guys make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. What's the difference? How good I am at telling people I'm a coach?
Well, and like the dishwasher washes dishes and the line cook cooks on the line. There's no ambiguity of the role being executed on, where it's like, yeah, I coach. Be like, well, do you? You're in a coach's role, but like if the dishwasher was trying to like apply dishwashing as a skill to the food on the line, that'd be some weird, soapy, gross food that would be getting plated. Because like just because you're the person in the place doesn't mean you're doing the thing.
And like you could, as a dishwasher, probably apply for a job as a chef. And if the owner of the restaurant was an idiot, affiliate owners, you might actually hire somebody because you're just like, I just need somebody to cook anything, right? And then now we've got this dishwasher who's been made into a chef because they were the only person that applied for the job, and everybody's sick of the food, right? They're like, the food sucks. You're like, well, I mean, I got a coach. He's doing coach things. Right, like I got a chef, they're doing chef things, but like literally the food's coming out cold. They don't know what's the difference. Like food's not prepped right. And so I don't even know if the example makes sense to a lot of people. So we probably don't need to stick with it. But the point is that just because somebody told you were, and you found yourself doing coach-like things, doesn't automatically infer that you are in fact a coach. And so you're not really automatically afforded what should be a coach's revenue. And like that should be in the order of six figures, right? Like, but we've got to talk about what the difference is between those people.
Yeah, and I think that's an important differentiation to make because, and I know we've talked about it before on the podcast about, training versus coaching, but, this conversation today lets us break it down a little bit further. But, I know myself when I first started, it was like, you were called coach because that was just what was handed down through the CrossFit ecosystem. It's like Coach Glassman started, everyone called him coach, so everyone else after became a coach.
Right, that's the problem. It's right there.
Yeah,
like, well, he's coach, so I'm coach. Nuh-uh. Like there's
No.
a reason why like you don't get automatically called a coach in 1, 2, 3, or 4 until like you've earned that title, right? Like
So it's super weird, right? That like there's some people within our community that insist upon themselves being called or referred to as coach. It wasn't until like I had been coaching for many years. It's when they're doing the CrossFit tour, and Rory dropped into GSX to do an open workout while they were doing that whole event, and he called me coach. And that was the first time, because like it's such a big piece of the language of like the core kernel of CrossFit in the community, but like that was the first time I'd ever been referred to as coach, and I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I'm not telling you got to tell people to call you, but like that's for sure a thing. Like I've definitely, once you start teaching seminars too, everybody's like, "Hey, coach," I'm like, that feels weird. You just call me Tony, and I'm not trying to say that like it's whatever, but it's one of those things where it's a title that you for sure step into. You earn it, based on whatever that is. But some people do have the ability to demand it. And I do think Chuck's right. Like it is a core part of the kernel of CrossFit that like you leave here after your L1 and you're going to go back and you're going to make everybody call you coach. It's like you just took but like you're not certified, right? So it's a hard thing to understand, but for sure the big overarching problem in the entirety of the community is that there is an absence of money in the ecosystem, right? terms of pay. And so one of the core essential problems that CrossFit as a whole faces is that they have the world's greatest training and education department, hands down. There is no company on the planet who delivers a level of service as high as that. And people have for years lined up to take that course, and they will continue to do that. The problem is that in years past, they all lined up with the promise of a future. Right? That could be like, I'm going to work out for a living, or that I'm going to wear gym clothes for a living, or like I'm going to make a career out of this. There was something there. And then so few coaches ever made any money out of it. Now we have this shift where everybody's like, I would love to do that, but like, it's not really worth it. Like, I'm not going to make any money. And so one of the big problems that we have is that coaches are the lifeblood of the entire thing. Right? Like, CrossFit does not exist without the affiliates, period. It can't. It's impossible. However, affiliates can't exist without coaches. We have to be advancing and developing coaches, but that's just it. We must be advancing, creating, and developing coaches. That means that we have to learn, we have to help people learn where they're starting from, teacher, trainer, moving forward, what those steps look like, so that they know that, like, this is what happens when you're hired. This is the process that we will take until you become a coach. Not just because you stand in front of the class doesn't make you coach. He's a coach. You're not a coach yet. You start on dish before you go to prep, before you go to line cook. And I think that is a big missing piece of it, because if we all start at the same starting point, some of us are way ahead. Right? And so there's no clear path of distinction of like, okay, but like, how do I get to where you're at? Or like, how do I make because I'm a coach and you're a coach, shouldn't I make the same money? And like, then the other problem is, right, like most CrossFit gyms are like, our coaches make $30 per class. Huh? All of your coaches are the exact, maybe they are, but like, I really doubt all of your coaches are actually coaches, and they're definitely probably not all at the same level. And I'm not necessarily saying that like you need to overpay more people, or underpay anybody, but maybe there's a conversation that creates the confusion right there. Is that like, there's just a devaluation of that labor in general.
And it's getting your head around the concept of, training being about the physical, squat, knees, chest, whatever, and coaching being behavioral. So, yeah, new word. But how, and actually witnessing someone move someone through the process of changing and, creating identity and doing all those things, and going, oh, suddenly now your squat's better. We all know how to do that.
How much money you make is certainly not an indication of how qualified or how valuable you are. Inherently, those two things are not usually mutually exclusive. So you could probably find more often than not similarities there. But I know a lot of trainers that make a lot of money because, it's not to say that trainers are beneath coaches. We think we've talked about this enough times in the podcast. They're just different. They have very different intentions, very different pursuits, and very different reward structures. Like, the nature of being a really, really good trainer, you just have a different value system. You want to deliver information, and you want to be valuable for that information, and you want to be known for that information. And that's okay. I'm not one of those people. Like, I don't want to be a wellspring of knowledge. Like, I would say that I probably know more than the average person as it applies to these things, but like, that's not really what I'm in here. I'm more interested in what you know. And that's the distinction of a coach, right? So, and I think that there's a conversation that needs to be had there. So we're not saying that, how much money you make is how good or how bad you are as a coach. But when you get to the top of either of those sides, trainer or coach, there's probably a pretty good indication that the amount of money you make is directly relative to the amount of value that you're providing. I would hope.
But is it a question of then understanding for potential coaches to understand how to, leverage that value?
Yes.
Yes.
I think the first question that will always come up if you end up on a conversation with us or a call is, you're a coach and you're not making enough money, because that's usually what prompts most coaches to be like, hey guys, got a second? And they end up on our calendar. And the first question that we're just going to ask you, Chuck and I, is like, I'm a coach and I don't make enough money. And our first response is going to be, are you a coach? And more often than not, they'd be like, yeah, but, and then immediately upon digging, they realize, oh, I haven't really ascended to that level yet. And I think that's why I bring this up as part of the problem, is that we have to know, you have to know whether or not you're actually playing the game, or you just think that like you've bought your way to the front of the table. And that's what's happened in a lot of cases. There's a lot of people who have taken their L1 to become an important person in the gym, to buy their way to the cool table, to be the important person, to be at the front of the gym. And they don't really care about making money. And then unfortunately, they dilute your value as a whole, because they don't need to make money, don't really care about making money. And lots of gym owners would for sure take a cheaper coach over a more expensive coach, because they're not making enough money per client to pay the coaches what they're actually worth. So when push comes to shove, they're probably going to hire dishwashers to be chefs, because it's all they can afford to hire. You can't hire, a Michelin star chef when you're, charging burger and fry prices.
And I think, that loops all the way back to conversations we've had many times about, affiliates charging for their value and knowing their worth. But, bringing it back to the central of coach is understanding, well, how do I provide value so we both grow?
Well, okay, so like being able to objectify like value creation and reinvestment and tie a lot of it together, but also speak to why it's hard. It's hard to get right in the affiliate landscape because of how little expense driven business complexity there truly is. They don't have, like, in the affiliate, there isn't a true like significant cost of goods relative to, the restaurant example that we're using, or look at any medical office, like, compare paper products and chalk to going through syringes and, bandaging. And so it's really hard because in the affiliate, it's just like the cost of labor and the owner's compensation or draw. And both of those are hugely subjective as they're approached in the marketplace. And they're also both like really subjected to an enormous number of like stories.
Enormous.
Dude, like that's a shitty place for both parties. And it's a shitty place for the consumer.
Yep.
Because there isn't like some centralized vetting thing. Like when you go to the dentist, you're like, I'm gonna pay dentist prices because this guy had to dedicate 12 years to getting up in my mouth with all of these tools. And I know that to be true. And I know that there's a cost associated with it. And so like also on the consumer side, it's like, well, you guys both call yourself coaches. Who's the coachier coach and why? What makes them coachier? Is it a degree in exercise science? Or is it 10 years of experience? Or is it actually having client success stories and case studies? Or is it a combination of all three? Like, how do we value that in the marketplace? And I think like as a community, like we've never really even like sat to have those discussions out loud because they're not our discussions to have, first of all. But like, if you're today years old to think about like all of these complexities and be like, oh, that's why this is really hard for everybody. Because there's not like, we know that this grass-fed ground beef is $7 a pound. And so like, we know at least like this first obstacle that we have to overcome in making this burger. They're like, so I got a warehouse and then.
Right.
Yeah.
But what if you thought about having to create value in a way that was like, well, what would I need to pay to have a coach who was willing to take their own continuing education under their own like guidance to push forward? What would I need to pay to have a coach who would look at attendance and lesson plans in advance and like to make appropriate notes and changes and would follow up with clients on, missing attendance of their own will and volition, because that's the caliber of like coach that they sought to be and wanted to be, versus like, how do I just fill this class time and hope for the best and then get mad when like I don't have high level shit being done. Be like, well, did you have a high level human?
Mm. And I think that's a really good point. I was on another call this week with another guest that we've got coming up, and we were talking about adding coaches to an affiliate is a bit like getting a Toyota Corolla and then you're just bolting on parts to make it look like a Ferrari, and you're just adding on coaches because you think that's what I need to do, but you haven't actually.
You can make a Corolla really fast, just so we're clear.
You can, but you're just attaching all these things, haphazardly and going, I don't know how it's all going to work, but I'm going to call it a Ferrari now. So away we go.
I think it's a lot like buying a house, right? I feel like it's one of those things where like you buy a house because you want to buy a house, you're proud of the house, and then you fill the house with stuff, but you're never really truly aware of how much stuff is in the house until it's time to move out, right? Then you're like, I need help, right? And so you get some friends to volunteer their time to help you move out, and you're like, you guys willing to work for beer and pizza? And they're like, sure, man, whatever to help you out. And like that's kind of the nature of really how most coaches come to be a part of this ecosystem. They're like, shit, like most gym owners arguably are really very good at what they do. That's why but they invested their life savings into it. So they had no choice but to be like, I've got to be really good at this because I can't lose this nest egg, right? And so by law of investment there's almost a guarantee that affiliate owners are usually going to be the best person in the room. But because of that, their service, their gym grows pretty exponentially. And then they find themselves with more than a handful. Then they've got like 40 or 50 clients. And then it usually occurs to them somewhere around then that like, I can't take a day off. I can't even get sick. Like I need help, right? And for most gym owners, I think it happens when the classes or when the clients start to demand like the 5:30 a.m. class, and you're like, I don't want to get up at 5:30 a.m. So you go looking for somebody who's probably already a 5:30 a.m. and you're like, you want to coach this class? But what ends up happening is that we get to a point where scale of service becomes an issue. You can't serve those people, and then you look for anybody to help out. And the reason why this is a problem is that you didn't start with the end in mind. Meaning you didn't choose your prices to be able to afford you the ability to make the right decision when the time came to need that person. And so if you didn't set up your pricing in the beginning to be able to hire the chef at 40 or 50 clients, you're going to promote the dishwasher. You have to, right? And so that's what I think ends up happening. And then from that point forward, gyms end up behind the eight ball. So you hire the first coach and 50 clients, and you're like, okay, I've got help now. He's good-ish. He'll be all right. He's going to learn. He's going to do what he needs to do. And so I got to make more money to pay him. Right? So I got to bring on more clients. And now you got 75 clients. And you're like, oh, he needs help. So I need another person. And then you get another 25. And then he needs help. And so then we end up getting this point where like you're always behind the eight ball. You're always behind the wheel. And all you really ever had to do from the beginning was change the intention. And so that brings us full circle back to like how the guys who don't give you advice are here giving you advice. It's not about giving you advice. It's asking you what your intentions are and then measuring your actions against it to see if you're congruent. And this is the problem that affects the entire thing. That's how this whole thing was built, was that like every affiliate intends to be amazing. They intend to provide this level of service that is next level. There's a reason why they were like, I'm going to do it better. I can do it better. But then what ends up happening, they all do it the same, right? Because they all fall into the same trap. The same booby trap exists where they're just like, they do it better for the first 20 to 30 clients. And then they can't continue the level of service. And then all of a sudden they have to lower the level of service to increase the level of scale. And we have that problem. And so we just come in and say, how did you intend to do this? Like from the beginning, before it was a thing, before you got abused. And then what are you doing now? Oh, we got a problem. And then we just work to take out the stuff in the middle until your actions and your intentions are congruent with each other. And that's how it changes at the affiliate level. But the same thing has to happen at the coaching level. Like, why did you want to be a coach? What did you intend to be? And then what are you currently doing to get towards that goal? And they're never in congruence. They're never, but that's because most of them don't even know what to do to move towards that intention. They just know they're like, I want to do this. I want to be able to quit my job, or I wanted this to be my career. I want to do this full time. Awesome. Great. What are you doing to get there? I volunteer in the mornings, right? Like, oh, we got a problem, right? There's nothing else that's congruent with that future. We have to change that approach.
There's something that's probably pretty useful in all of that for present day affiliate owners that are struggling with like really kind of like whatever, whether it's ascending the price point for their service or figuring out what is it that is the core of their product that is actually successful versus like what are all these extra bolt-on parts that don't really like make a difference is when you weren't distracted because you had to be focused because you were all in and it was a startup and you were paying attention to everything and you had to create success with nearly every single person that you could manage on your own roster. What was it that you did for them? And is that still being done for the clients? That's worth considering. And especially if you look at, you're like, man, I had these like 30 OG clients that they were like my greatest success stories and I changed their lives completely. And now like there's a ton of friction in the relationship and we all dislike it very much so. Be like, well, what changed?
Mm.
Was it $100 a month and they also got personalized programming and they got 15 minutes before and after class and they got like, extra accountability texts and emails, and then did you change the service offering by not doing any of those things any longer as you did also incrementally or exponentially increase the price? Cool, like
Mm.
guilty on both sides, right? But if you think about what it was that you wanted to do when you knew that they had to be successful and you were also willing to do whatever it took to make that happen, like why not just build your service offering around that and charge appropriately?
Mm.
And then if you also knew what that process was, if you found another coach that was like, "Hey, I'm not just looking to hire you on to coach the 6 a.m. class. I'm looking at you to take that as a roster of humans that you give an immense number of fucks about changing their entire life. And I expect you to communicate with them on social media and by phone. And I want you to be invested in their long term success. And I want you to look at their scores in SugarWAD. And they will track all of their results because we will objectively show through data that we are delivering on our promise."
Mm.
Well, that'd be very different.
It's very different conversation to have. And, you know, I guess it kind of leads into the question is coaches in the affiliate tend to think of, well, all the stuff about how the affiliate makes money and pays its bills, that's up to the owner. That's not my problem. As long as I get paid and please pay me more, then that's all I'm worried about.
Yeah,
You know,
but then you're just gonna have to line up for those handouts, right?
Cool.
And I
Then
think
be cool with $25 a class and
yeah,
like you do you and we do this. But
yeah,
like don't be mad that you're not a part of something greater. Don't be mad that like when you do have intermittent insight, nobody takes you seriously. Don't be mad that when you do want to come to the table with a program that isn't well thought out, that doesn't have any numbers behind it, that you have no real vetting for your decision making process besides like you saw a thing on the internet and you wanted to do it. Like don't be surprised when you don't get the support that you want or when you don't have the
Mm.
response that you're looking for.
and that was the very nature of the intention behind building MDCP, right? It was like the founding sort of principle of that is that we're giving you permission to stop asking for permission because that's really the big problem. Every coach is generally waiting or asking for permission from an affiliate owner that's very distracted and handling a million different things. And that affiliate owner is incapable at that moment of giving you what you need. Create it.
Mm.
They will not be upset about it. But the most important thing here is that you have to understand that the beauty of becoming a coach, or ascending to becoming a coach is you find yourself in possession of your own future, right? And so you can create at will as much as
Mm.
you want. And so there's two sides of it. Sure, you could sign up and be like, can you give me a raise, etc. But like, if you're going to ask for permission, respect that you will be responsible to whatever they are willing to give you. If you stop
Mm.
asking for permission, you start creating, you will start contributing. I'm not telling you to become like this rogue sort of thing and start doing your own classes and not charge people, but I'm telling you, or not paying the gym, but I'm telling you that if you start contributing, you will be rewarded for that contribution. And how
Mm.
that happens is essentially provide value. You must always be providing service at the highest level, not at the minimum effective level, not at the amount that you can afford to. And this is on both sides, the affiliate owner and the coach. Like if you were willingly in possession of knowing that you were providing a lesser service, you don't want to be there. That's weird and unethical. Like, just charge the money you need to do the thing the way you want to do it. That's like, I really want to fix your transmission, but I can't afford to. So I'm going to put some sawdust in it so it'll stop making noise, but it'll sound thick. Right? And that's exactly what's happening. Right. And it sucks. The whole thing kind of sucks for that reason. And it's nobody's fault. I mean, everybody's kind of behind the eight ball, but it's a simple fix as what's the intention and what are your actions? Are they congruent, and getting somebody to fix that? And that's really where the value of getting your own coach comes in, is that every single week you get a person who sits down with you and asks you, what did you do this week? What did you do last week? Did you get your to-dos done? Blah, 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 blah. What's that look like? And measuring that, are those things moving you towards the person you want to be, or are they responding to the person you were? And then just moving and making sure that each decision is moving you forward as opposed to responding to the past. And most people would be very surprised to realize in a very short period of time how much you have been responding to the past every day. And you're like, oh, no wonder I didn't get anywhere. We didn't know where you were going.
And that can be the challenge. And there's also a perception, I guess, sometimes with coaches who have let's call it a limiting belief about, well, why will I do these things and make the affiliate owner rich, not understanding that it's all going to, you're adding value. It'll be, rewarded to you. You'll both benefit. How do we look at this relationship in a way where we have reciprocity and it benefits everybody, as well, rather than just trying to think of yourself on an island?
Yeah, because if you can't at least run through the mental exercise of being able to create a service or an offering or an opportunity that is beneficial to the client, the owner, and yourself as the coach, we don't need to be having the conversation that we are. Like, at a minimum, can you clearly and coherently put together, like, the thing that you wanna do and show how everybody gets to win? Because in the affiliate ecosystem, like, that is super easy to do. There is an endless number of things that people really, truly, desperately need for, like, their health, their fitness, and a better life, that the gym can make money on, that the coach can get paid on, that really solves a problem. There's so many. And if you can't figure out just, like, getting those 3 dots to line up, and you really need to evaluate, like, where this value conversation lies relative to your own hero's journey.
And I think, like, when we talk about MDCP, which is our $1 Million Coach Program, but a lot of coaches probably don't think that like, a lot of the services that are out there to assist are all targeted at gym owners. And whether they be gurus or information providers or whatever, they think that, well, who's helping me as a coach and helping me understand my position as a coach and helping me move forward into a coach that I want to be?
I mean, the good news is for coaches is that, most of the help is out there targeted towards gym owners. So you don't have to deal with all the distractions, right? Because like the very nature of what the affiliate owners have to deal with is the amount of people who are offering to help them. And that gets very confusing. Like, they don't need more information. They don't need more complication. They don't need more things to work on. They need to do less, but better. So as a coach, be happy that like most of the help out there is direct, because like that stuff's not even going to help the affiliate owners, right? But the thing is that you have the resources that you need to learn what you need to learn to become the person you want to become. And HQ has put those pieces together, unlike any company on the planet, between the levels and the SMEs. Like, you will never be wanting of information. And then if by some chance you are, there's always the Google. What you don't have access to is somebody helping you guide your journey towards professional development. Like, what does that look like? Because again, back to the restaurant example, if you're trying to move from dishwasher to, line prep, how do you do that? You become the best dishwasher. So the kitchen is like, yeah, man, you're great. You want to try to bring those skills over here, and then you move up and you move up. But imagine how terrible a dishwasher you'd be if you were trying to do chef things. Or like, it's just not going to, you're never going to ascend. And that's really, why we put together the pillars of MDCP. And then it's like, And they're very basic. This pillar number one is, can you think creatively and critically about the information that you've consumed up to that point? Like, you don't even get to pillar one until you have ascended level 1, level 2, level 3, and maybe, well, arguably not level 4 yet, but like in some of the SMEs, because there's an assumption that by the time you get to level 1, you know how to consume information, you know how to find it, research it, learn it, etc. But nobody's asking you, do you know what to do with it? Do you know how to package it? Do you know how to distribute it? And so level 1 of that is literally, do you know how to basically think creatively and critically of the information that you've consumed? Level 1, 2, 3, etc. And then pillar 2 is, can you teach it? Great. Pillar 3 is, can you teach it at scale to larger groups of people? That'd be like classes or seminars. And then from there, you find yourself in the coach role. And that coach role is, do I know how to understand people with the information that I have without teaching them more information, and instead seeing what information they have and then passing it through my filter of education? Like, that's very different. There's no more teaching at that point. And then you move into consulting, doing that at scale, helping people fix whole operations or building other coaches. And then you get to like promotion, marketing, et cetera. And like, that's really it. But you got to play those levels and you got to win those levels and you got to beat those levels. But like, it's just like any video game. If you try to put in the cheat code and go to level 30, the first goblin that comes along is going to just look at you and you die. And that's exactly what's happening. You go back to the beginning, right? Put back in the cheat code. I'm going to try again. Goblin looks at you again. I'm like, I can't beat this goblin. Yeah, because you don't have levels 1 through 29 of skill yet. Play the game.
And I think that's, where there's a big gap, because we'll go from level 1 and then you'll be on the Instagram and all these people telling you how to promote and market yourself as a coach and create reels. And this is what you need to do. And this is how you need to sell your stuff, and skip all that stuff in the middle and go, oh, here's a template for a reel. I'm just going to follow that. And because that's what, XYZ people are doing. And
well, like, I think it's such an interesting like frame piece. Dude, like, go and get experience, and in getting experience, you'll actually learn how to answer these questions for yourself. And in the process, you'll make money and like find a natural path of ascension. But the reframe of like, well, what if it goes right? What if you have this super fucking viral reel and you've got 1 million followers? What are you selling them? Oh, nothing. Good work, stupid. Like, you literally, like, cool, I give you the keys to the Kardashian fucking social empire. What are you gonna do with it?
Yeah.
You don't know how to talk to people? Bro, you probably don't want to have an inbox full of people taking like shooting their one shot to maybe get on your coaching roster, because you can only get on that consult one time. And if you look like a bumbling idiot, it's probably not going to work out great. So like, be blessed that you start in a vacuum and just go to work. You want to coach on seminar staff? Cool. How many seminars have you run in your gym? Oh, maybe start there. Cool. How many seminars have you run in your city? None? Cool. That would be step 2. Like, you have a chance to ascend the value proposition. You have a chance to ascend your own education experience and like the application of the skill set, and like make money in the process. It's like Tony's, Instagram handle that he threw up a couple weeks ago. Like,
I just took it down today. I felt bad about leaving it up there. Go do something useful.
Yeah, it was, when people are preparing for their level 1, like their actual CrossFit level 1, they study, they read the manual, they want to learn the things. But then once they get past that,
they need to learn those things, right? Like,
I'm just going to use the hacks.
What's
I feel like
is,
and like, what is the like the closing couple paragraphs of the closing lecture at the L1? Go home, get a broomstick, go get your neighbor, teach them to overhead squat, have them go get a friend, bring them to the cul-de-sac, like rinse and repeat. It wasn't like, cool, now that you're done with the L1, go back and review the L1 study guide and manual again for anything that you missed, and then maybe consider what education piece comes next. It's like, cool, go both feet all the way into the fucking deep end and like go and coach.
Doing is doing.
That's the only way any of us learn, is like through experiential learning, especially in something as abstract as like actually transcending to coaching.
One of the things that we always tell people, whether it be through the seminars or otherwise, is that like, and I've said it for years, for 10 years, is that you know, congratulations, you now are a gymnastics trainer, but that doesn't mean shit. And it was always a joke. The room breaks out in laughter, but it's the truth, right? Like, because until you go do something with it, it doesn't mean anything. And as soon as you go try to do something with it, you're going to find yourself very ill-equipped to handle the information that you've been given this weekend, right? And so learn and keep learning. And the moment you find yourself in possession of not needing to learn anymore, quit. Get the fuck out of the industry, because at that point, you're no longer a coach. You have to remain a student of life. It has to happen. The moment you stop consuming information is the moment you stop becoming a coach and you start becoming whatever, a know-it-all, a guru, all these things that are not value providing individuals. They're just surface selling humans. But there's a problem that exists inside that too, is that being a student of life doesn't inherently make you valuable at all. It is the baseline. And it's like, what I was going to say is that we always review every business owner for, and not just affiliate owners, but other companies that we work with as well. And like, your core values, the number one core value that like everybody tries to espouse, that you hear the most often, is integrity. That is not a core value, because what's the other option? Like, that's the baseline. That's an expectation for being a human. Like, you don't need to tell me that your core value is integrity, because as opposed to what? Like, well, I have integrity because normally I'm a piece of shit. Like, so I make sure that like, core values are really like core goals. But my point in that is that being a student of life is essentially integrity. It's the baseline. That is the assumption, the belief that like you are consuming information, but nobody's telling you what to do, how to package, promote, and distribute that information, how to be effective, and how to provide value. Because the amount of followers you have doesn't make you valuable. The amount of information you've consumed doesn't make you valuable. We tend to overconsume information because it gives us something to do, to focus on, to fixate on, and to pursue. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you also have to get on the other train as well. There's two trains leading to a destination. One is the train of learning, and the other train is the ascension of your career. Play the game. Learn how to take the information, start working on how to think about it creatively and critically, and you got to start there. That is a huge step that almost everybody misses, right? Like, okay, now that I learned this, can I even do anything with it? And then step two of that is, can I teach it? Right? Like, coming out of the gymnastics seminar, that's why I always said, is like, you're going to find yourself really, really quickly being like, I learned a lot. You're going to open your mouth and vomit. Like, you're not even going to know what to say. Practice, get the broomstick, right? And just start doing it. Don't worry about consuming more information. It's just going to make it worse.
And do it with the intention of improving. So long as like you're following the conversation to this point, and a lot of it was centered on, hey, I would like to earn more as a coach. I would like to transact for more. And I see the way that I do that as being more valuable to more people. Cool. Then make sure you do go into your coaching interactions, regardless of what they are, like really seeking to deliver on that intent and intention. Like, are you truly working to help people have better behaviors? Are you working to affect change on a habitual level, or are you just like correcting movement? Like, are you really trying to execute as a coach and not just teach or instruct? And are you actually engaging in it in a way that is like, I know what I could have done better in that series of interactions. I know where I could have gotten more right faster with that client. Oh, I recognize this personality type. Oh, I understand this motivation structure. Oh, I understand these habit loops.
And
what
then
doesn't make you valuable. Right? And I think that's the big thing. What you know doesn't make you valuable. What you do with what you know makes you valuable. Our favorite example is college professors are nowhere near the highest paid people, but they are the most knowledgeable in any one singular field. It's what you do with the information that you acquire from people like that makes you valuable. Because the point of consuming information is for you to have a large skill set and a large toolbox. But what you do with it, how you package it, promote it, and distribute it, and how you provide value for other humans with what you know, is inherently what makes you valuable. And that is directly attributed to how much money you're going to make.
Yep. And that's a powerful shift for somebody to make. We will include a link to the MDCP in the show notes for this, of course. But I guess our intention, I guess, out of this is to help coaches realize that they do have their own value and their own destiny and their potential to create their future in their own hands, rather than waiting for Joe affiliate owner to decree when they're worth $5 more an hour.
Well, and okay, like what if it went right? Like what if you had the affiliate owner that created all of the opportunities for you,
Mm.
then they decide they're going to close the affiliate.
Mm.
Or they decide they're going to sell to somebody else that like you have relationship friction with.
Yep.
These things do happen. So ultimately, like at some point, it's probably worth investing in yourself as like you are the vehicle for all of your education and experience.
Mm. And I know on a previous episode, we did talk about coaches and owners considering themselves entrepreneurs, and coaches in particular, as in, I am responsible for my own, destiny, outcome, future, and being able to understand that they can take control of that and still do that within the affiliate and with the affiliate owner.
To paraphrase that entire episode, an entrepreneur is just somebody who solves problems for people at scale, right? And like that's quite literally what you guys. And so, I think if you are a coach and you don't make enough money and you want to make more money, just book a call. We'd be more than happy to walk you through it, but be prepared because I'm going to ask you one question. I don't care what you know. I'm going to ask you what you're doing with what you know. And you're probably going to be like, a coach classes. Got it.
Yep.
We're going to need to build on that. And we can teach you how to do it and help you do that. I mean, it's not that difficult, but all it is, do you want to make more money? We'll keep you in line with that, but you need to know how to do it and where to go to.
Awesome. Well, I think that was a powerful, useful chat today, guys. As always, I was trying to think of a good word there, but I got useful.
You like powerful. That is a powerful phrase in your word arsenal.
Yeah, I need to get more words. Come up with variations. But thank you for your time again this morning. And I appreciate you guys and always being so free with your insights. But again, we will have links to book a call in the show notes. Otherwise, slide into our DMs on the Insta for Fit Affiliate and reach out.
Call. If you've listened, I would say like to make better objective decisions for yourself to move further in the direction that you would like your life to go. If you've listened to more than like 3 or 4 episodes, what is that overall volume of time? And like, would you be better off investing like 30 to 45 minutes one time, just talk through a problem with us?
Mm.
So at the end of the day, you at least have one problem fucking solved, but for less than you would spend listening to an episode, you could bet the relationship.
Yep.
Better uses of your time.
And come without your credit card because we're not going to sell you.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Just solve a problem.
Yeah. We're not like that at the end of the call. Going to ask you for your card and sign you up.
You literally can't.
I mean, how many other podcasts do you get to just hang out with the hosts? If you actually like the podcast, just fucking book the call because all we're going to do is just talk shit anyways and probably swear at you more often than not. But
in fact, if you wanted to just book a call to record an episode, you could do that. We like friends.
Yeah, we love friends. But yeah, no, I mean, you're not hanging out with Joe Rogan for 45 minutes, are you? By clicking on a link and having a problem solved.
You got fitness lungs. You can't handle that much weed smoke. You can't handle 45 minutes. You got to get on the assault bike later. We know we're your people.
Yeah, it's not going to work. All right, guys. Until the next one. Thank you again.
Thank you, my friend, for listening to the Fit Affiliate podcast. If you would be interested in hopping on a free call with us to just kind of chat about what you think your problems are and what you think the gap is between where you're at and where you want to go, we can see if maybe we can help you along that journey, figure out if we're all a good fit to do some sweet things together. So click the link, set up a consult. Let's help you identify some problems that we can mutually solve.